rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, c'est payé. J'ai allumé le feu, mes chagrins, mes plaisirs. Je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur trémolo.
More than that, I've got two of the greatest Sydney University Football Club legends alongside me. We've got Michael Griffin, we've got Angus Thorns-Dorney, so welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, from the darkness, the heartbeat of the darkness. I've got a live cross to Texas to Sydney Uni great, Chrissy Ingate. G'day, Chrissy, how are you?
Hey boys, how we going? Horns up.
Beyond venue to a special French edition of Game Day TV. Firstly, on behalf of all the Sydney Uni rugby staff, we just wanted to take the opportunity to send out our love to the entire SUFC community through this difficult time. Our men and women are absolutely shattered not to be out there this weekend, but are doing everything they can to stay motivated, fit, and ready to go when they get that opportunity. Whilst no one expected us to be here again, we thought we'd take the opportunity over the next few weeks to highlight some of the many achievements of some of our students abroad. And what better time to take a look at the French just before that deciding test match between the Wallabies and Le Bleu coming up next. During the show, we're going to play some of the best bits from French rugby last year, including some of the highlights from Tolu Latu, Will Skelton, Nick Stirzaker, Matt Phillip, and former SUFC greats David Lyons and Brock James. Earlier this week, Double Dohs also had the opportunity to sit down with Nick Stirzaker and current SUFC Premiership winning coach Mitch Inman. And to wrap up the show, we're going to play a little Road to Castre, which highlights the achievements of our polarising back rower, Nick Champion de Crespigny. He sat down with Conor O'Shea earlier this week, and it is certainly one not to be missed.
The Champs-Élysées is a busy street. We get in town with everyone we meet. If you understand, then listen to me. S'il vous plaît, ma chérie, allez tomber la chemise. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? Si tu peux le parler, allez tomber la chemise. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? Si tu peux le parler, allez tomber la chemise. You can, and I told you to. Do it now because you can. I'll take mine up too. Do it now because you can. Cause you can. Got people moving up and down like an elevator. I'm keeping it cool like a Kelvinator. Got the maculas for my sexy neighbors. They're always in the yard doing cha cha cha. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? Si tu peux le parler, allez tomber la chemise. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? Si tu peux le parler, allez tomber la chemise.
welcome to the Firm Between Two Dohs French edition. This is a Sydney Uni program brought to you by Big Dohy. Thank you, Big Dohy. And welcoming to the show, we have two illustrious Sydney University legends. We've got Nick Stirzaker in the top left and Mitch Inman in the bottom right. How are we tonight, gentlemen?
Very well, thanks.
Good stuff. Also, important to note, Connor, also a big sponsor of the show, Wingman, the fucking tastiest beer in the land. Cheers, Big Dohy. Cheers to that. Nick, you don't have a beer handy at training by any chance, do you, mate?
No, I don't actually at the stadium. Yeah, lunch break. So might have to pass on the beers today, boys.
so
we'll get you back in a few hours. We've
been informed Nick's actually in his lunch break, so he's missing his siesta to be here, which we greatly thank you for, Nick. Mitch, how's your lockdown been in Sydney? All right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I'm already a bottle in, so we'll see how it goes.
And Nick, have you managed to bounce the COVID off? Have you managed to get away from it?
Well, I actually had it when I was in England. So before I was in France, I was over at Bristol, and I had it. Who else has had it, mate?
He was positive, and I was positive negative. Apparently, I was.
You boys have done well to get it. You boys have done well to get it in Australia. It's barely a thing there.
Yeah. Well, now it is. Now it's a big thing.
Well,
he
now,
was zero, so he's the one who started the whole thing. Yeah, look, it gets the best athletes, so there you go.
Yeah, that must be it. Eh? Must be why I got it. Yeah. No, but look, I had it right at the start, like March 2020, and then been fine in France. Got vaccinated already, so it's all good. Life's kind of back to normal here.
Oh, he's immune. So Nick, you've obviously been over, and this is your second season in France, correct?
Yeah.
What's it like? What's it been like compared to something that's a bit more relatable to like Mitch, for example? Obviously playing in France as well, but what's it like compared to the Australian team rugby landscape?
Yeah, well, it's different. I mean, culturally, it's obviously different. So like the way, as Mitch alluded to earlier before, a glass of wine at lunch at training is absolutely play on before the afternoon session. So they know how to live over in France. But and then obviously the game's different. Like it's a bit more physical. It's like obviously a bit slower, particularly in winter. And just with France, like they're just passionate, as Mitch would be able to tell you. Like they play with their heart on their sleeve. Sometimes when they want to turn up, they're unbelievable. Sometimes they don't want a bar of it, and the performances it shows. Like it's quite an interesting place to play in that regard.
Mitch, obviously one game for Toulon, a yellow card involved in that as well. Do you want to run us through that yellow card and that one for Toulon?
Yeah, mate. So it was in front of a very vocal crowd at Mayol. And I think they said to the captain, I think the captain was Joan Smith, and the ref said to him, mate, one more penalty and the next bloke's gone. And I was Stirs could back me up there. On field, I was pretty well disciplined as a player, and then I was on the unfortunate side of not rolling away from a ruck and carton jaune, yellow card straight off.
That sounds completely opposite to what we're seeing in the test at the moment. It seems like the French love lying all over the ruck, so that's it's interesting to decide to pick up on that. So, gentlemen, we've got a few players currently that are actually going to be making their way over to France in hopefully the next few months. What advice can you give them for playing in the French rugby comp?
I would tell them definitely worry about their own game. That don't go over there trying to change the world. You're not going to change the French. So just do your own thing.
Yeah,
but also just enjoy it.
Yep.
Just enjoy it. It's an awesome place to live, and there's so much to do outside of rugby, and enjoy the passion of the game and stuff. I was thinking when you're talking about cards, if you want to sum up French, the passion of the French, we had a guy got red carded last year, so we had a penalty. He talked, but just to sum up, sort of their philosophy of how they view the game. We've got a penalty. We throw a forward advantage, throw a forward pass, something. Anyway, goes back. Our fullback mouths off at the ref, so they reverse the penalty. Guy quick taps, runs out the fullback. He spear tackles and gets red carded for the spear tackle, and tells the ref to fuck off on the way off to his sideline. And then in the change room at the end,
was that Caminardi?
I was just not him. But he could do something like that. And after the game, it's just, sorry, boys, I was passionate, what can you do?
French passion.
It is what it is.
And Mitch, what was your, obviously, played at Onyx as well. Tell us a little bit.
Nice pronunciation,
correctly?
Work on that before you go.
That's all right. I've got bonjour down pat. That'll do me. So just tell me, you've obviously played 3 years in France. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just what was your favourite experience from living over there?
First things first, the team's called Oyonnax.
Oyonnax, yeah, right. I even got up on Google Translate and it didn't translate that. So Nick de Crespigny, I'm trying to translate this.
Some of the French get it wrong. They pronounce the X, but the locals pronounce it as Oyonnax. So
they do say the X in the southwest, actually, down here. I can't confirm,
but it's definitely a silent X to the locals. So no, but look, sort of Stirzaker raised a fair few points there. You just got to embrace it. Embrace it. Like, you're not going to fight the French. They're set in their ways. You just you're on their turf. You play to their rules, and you just embrace the culture. And it was a wonderful experience. And a lot of the people who do embrace that culture tend to get the better experience from that. And I have some very fond memories of my experience there. And my son was born there, and just, some really, really good. And rugby over there, it's not the be all and end all. It's sort of like a part of their life. Like we were near ski fields, and we'd have a Friday night game, we'd have Wednesday off, and there's guys skiing on a Wednesday. And then after the game on a Friday, they wonder why they played so badly. And it's like, what do you expect? It's like, mate, you've been skiing for 4 hours 2 days before. It's not the best way to prepare for a game. And they sort of look at you as if, like, you're in the wrong. And you're like, oh, Jesus. But
we got on just fine with people that stubborn then. Mitchy, you'd have been fine.
Yeah, but, mate, it was good. It's like I said, it's not just about rugby. It's more to them. It's just a all-round good experience.
So obviously you both had a couple of years playing in France. Obviously Bastille Day's just been and gone on Wednesday. Have you had any great experiences that you've had on Bastille Day? Any good memories of Bastille Day? Any big ones that you can tell us about? The crowd goes silent. Come on.
You go, Stirs. Go.
Nah, I don't know. Not really, boys. I can't remember where I was last year for it, actually, which probably says enough, doesn't it?
Fair enough.
I've got it.
They actually don't. It's not they don't take the same vibe like Australia Day. Like, it's not like everyone just goes out and gets pissed. Like, there's a bit of a thing on in the evening, but it's not. If you're thinking of Australia Day, it's not really that.
Yeah, fair.
Depends which French you are. If it's the upper class French, they don't really celebrate Bastille Day. But if it's the working class French, they celebrate.
Well, it's not a public holiday.
The money you blokes are on, you would have been in the upper class, no dramas. Bring it home now.
Talk to Mitchy.
Bring it home now. Back to Sydney Uni. You guys both played in a grand final win together. A lot of time at the Rebels together as well. Do you have any? I'll start with Mitch on this one. What is your funniest memory of Stirzaker?
Oh, there's been many.
I've heard there's been a little bird that's been talking to me that apparently a very good end of year trip to go and see the Cirque du Soleil in Mexico. Like, I didn't think you had to go the whole way to Mexico to see the Cirque du Soleil. Apparently, Nick, you enjoyed the Cirque du Soleil that much, apparently, didn't you?
Mitch was on that trip, right?
Yeah, I do.
Are you aware of that? Yeah.
I don't know how I got the intel, but
yeah. Look, boys had a good time. It's just end of a long season, a few quiet ones in Mexico. Probably the less said, the better, really.
What was your take on it, Mitch?
Oh, it's like we were saying before, it's experiencing different cultures. So, we got to experience, there's some acrobatics involved, and, there was some dancing in the Brazilian sort of culture over in Mexico. There's a whole mix. There was a melting pot of cultures there.
Well versed in rugby.
It was a good overall experience.
Yeah. That's good.
If there's anyone to ask about that trip, though, it's Laurie Weeks. I know he's your head coach, so you speak to him.
The People's Champ. I'll have to hit him up for sure.
Yeah.
But just talking about Sydney Uni, obviously, Mitch, you're both absolute legends of the club. Mitch, you've had over 50 or 64 games, I I hear from Physistats in first grade. Nick, you've got 8, both played in the 2012 JF. What can you tell us about that day? Obviously very special to you both. Nick, that would have been your 4th grand final, Mitch, but that was obviously your one and only first grade grand final, Nick. What can you tell us about that day?
Yeah, I got great memories of that day. Just, obviously my only grand final for Sydney Uni, and we won, which makes it pretty special. But like one of those games where we didn't play that well and we're kind of behind most of the game. I think we were behind, but you had guys like Tim Davidson, Tom Carter, and you just kind of felt, even though we were behind, we were just going to win. And I think that's like something Sydney Uni's had a culture of winning then. And looks like now as well, where they just found ways to win games. And in that game, it was about a forward pass, which was a metre forward from Tom Carter, but they didn't pull it back, so it doesn't matter. Got great memories of but great memories of that time, just like playing with your mates when you're young and all that sort of stuff. Like it's just so much fun, and have a great night after and all the rest of it. Angus Roberts, who you guys might have had something to do with a few years back at the club, he kicked the goal from the sideline. We got up by a point. So, we got a bit lucky in the end, but it was, good memories.
Mitch, what about your highlights from that game, mate?
It's coming back to me, mate. I can't remember it as vividly as Nick can. Probably too many knocks to the head.
The question could be, we had the 4 grand finals, obviously 08, 09, 2010, 2012. Which one of those 4 were the most special to you, and why?
Oh, good question. You put me on the spot there.
It's what we do here. It's what we do good.
Look, I don't think you can, as cliche as it sounds, I don't think you can narrow it down to one grand final. There was a few experiences. Like my first one, I played against my brother who was playing for Randwick. So that was a pretty cool experience. I was only about 19, and all you guys know, if any of you guys know my middle brother, he goes pretty hard. So I thought I was going to get my head bloody knocked off, but it was more I was playing out of fear. But had some wonderful experiences. And then 2012 was the last. That was a kind of a young side, Stirzaker. But then we had some experience in key positions. Had a good night that night. I remember we had the Iguana Boat. Was it after the Stirs, something like that, or
what was that one with the low roof in this? Was it Iguana with the low roof?
It has to be Iguana, yeah.
It wasn't Scuba. Only. I think it must have been Iguana. Yeah, it had to be.
Iguana, and then I ended up in Vegas, the Vegas bar lounge on the main street there till all hours or something. Yeah.
Sounds like you remember the after party better than the match.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Happens to the best of us, really, doesn't it?
Snook at him.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys played a lot of footy together down in Melbourne. I wanted to ask Nick, what was Mitch like to play with? Because we've watched from a couple of years back, Mitch is mic'd up seg he did for, I think, Fox Rugby at the time. And they had to apologise for the amount of times he swore. And it sounded like he was doing the whole thing on for television. But, Nick, what was your memories of playing with Mitch down at the Rebels?
Oh, yeah, great. I mean, obviously, like, Mitchy trains super hard, like, such a great leader by example, very serious on the football field. And, like, one of those guys, but in all seriousness, one of those guys, like, when you go to play with him, like, there's few tougher blokes that I've ever played with, in all honesty. You just know he's just going to try and absolutely smack every bloke that runs down his channel and carry hard and, plays with his heart in his sleeve. And, yeah, one of those guys you just love having out there because physically he's going to be up for it every week. So, great memories of playing within us.
I'll let you return and serve Mitch.
Yeah, I'll pay you later, Stirzaker. Thanks for doing the PR work there, mate.
No worries. You coach first grade off the back of that next year or what?
No, mate. You told me the right. I'll send you a few emails you need to talk
to. And so Mitch, what was your, from memory, was Stirzaker your captain for a period of time down there at the Rebels? What was that like?
Yeah, it was, mate, a wonderful experience. Stirzaker was there probably the same amount of time I was there for.
Yeah, we were there for 6 years. Yeah, same years, 8. Yeah.
And from my experience, it went from our first year went from a really older, experienced squad. Like we had Mortlock and Fryer and Gerard and these older statesmen, our Campbell, like all these older guys. And then in the space of like 12 months, it just went from a really old squad to a really young squad.
Yeah.
And it was almost like seeing, like I was sort of observing, watching Stirs and Ingo and Gussie, those guys, younger guys, like develop, and seeing him from a young EPS kid coming in as a 21-year-old running amok in Melbourne to playing under him, being a captain was a special experience for me. So I saw a lot transform in those years. I guess we found a little bit tricky in the Rebels to sort of, we went from being this old squad to this super young squad overnight. So, but we got a few scalps over the years. Hey, Stirs, and had some really good times down there, and there's some really memorable matches. I think one year we took a few scalps. We got the Chiefs with Sonny Bill and beat the Crusaders over in Christchurch, and Stirzy was very instrumental in that game. So, yeah, look, it was a wonderful experience down there, and watching guys develop, and it was really good.
Best city to tour in. There's obviously not as much touring going on in
Cape Town.
Rugby
Stop
at the
the
moment.
quiz. Cape Town.
Cape Town. What about you, Mitch?
Oh, it's
Especially for me.
It's pretty hard to beat.
Mitchy, come
I
on.
never got to experience Argentina. Neither did Stirs. I heard that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
I've heard some bad yarns about Argentina, but we might leave that there. Moving on to, obviously, the French influence. We've got the departing players, but then we've also got the Wallabies at the moment playing the French down under. Sturzy, you've obviously, you were in the middle of that really good period of depth in the halves in Australian rugby, and that sort of continued to flow on. I'm not sure how much of the Wallabies you've watched or Australian Super Rugby you've watched at the moment, but can you sort of just touch on maybe how good the depth is in the halfbacks in Australia and why you think that might be?
In Australia at the moment?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously you got Jake doing a great job there. I was really happy to see him go well. He was at Sydney Uni when I was as well, just a couple of years younger than me. And then, I think Tate McDermott's going to have a really successful career. I mean, he's an absolute jet when he's in space with ball in hand. So, and then obviously Nick White's injured. I mean, I guess just the way Australia likes to play, you've got a lot of good attacking nines. It's a position we're usually spoilt in. One aspect of obviously the game where I think where we miss Nick White is the kicking game. I think he was always really good at it back at the Brumbies a while ago, and then obviously spending a few years in Europe, it's an area of the game where you got to do it. I spent a lot of time on. It'd be good to see all those guys competing.
Is that an ambition? Have you got an ambition to come back and play and finish your career here, or what's the long-term goal?
Well, I mean, you always kind of harbour an ambition, but realistically, I don't think my body will let me go back to Super Rugby. It's a little bit slower and more manageable in Europe. And my wife's actually French, so we met when I was in Melbourne. We're pretty happy over here at the moment. But yeah, you never know what happens.
And Mitchy, what have you sort of seen from the Wallabies so far? Obviously, we know that, as we touched on before, the French just love to lie all over the ruck. I'm not sure how they're refereeing in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, but obviously there's no rules at the breakdown. What have you liked from the test so far?
I thought, even though the Wallabies lost in the second test, I thought they tried to move the French team around a little bit better. Just their execution let them down in parts, and their attacking breakdown let them down in parts. Although, Stirs could back me up on this. You don't want to get into an arm wrestle with the Frenchies. They want this set piece to set piece sort of match and this arm wrestle. And I thought we did that in a lot of facets of the game. So you've got to move their big forwards around. Their tight five athletic, in terms of moving around the park. They're built for set piece. They're built for mauling. They're built for scrumming. And as Sturzy knows, the old saying, "Pade meli, pade ganya." So no scrum, no win. So you've got to take away. You've got to keep them in phase play. You've got to starve them on the ball, and you've got to move them around the park. Because they're aerobic, they don't have the aerobic sort of fitness like we do. So we've got to play to our strengths. And at times I feel as though we're playing to their strengths, and they want a slow match. They want to, they're like the South Africans. They just want a bash fest. They love that, and they get up on that. If their forwards are grinding and picking and driving, getting in behind you, and they're whacking you, it's exactly what they want. They want that sort of contest.
Pleasure. Nick, has been great to get to know you as well as a fellow redhead of the Dohies. We could even call you the third big Dohie.
Yeah, big Dohie, yeah.
Anyway, but Mitch, also thanks for joining us for Afern between two Dohs. We'll enjoy the rest of your day, Nick, over in France. We're just gonna sip a couple more beers and then go to bed probably. Mitch, you probably join us. But thanks for joining us, everyone, and all the best. Thanks, lads.
All right, cheers, boys. Good editing there, guys. I'm just going off on tangents.
Yeah, you stick around a while, don't you? Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, boys.
Good to see
Thanks,
you.
Thanks,
guys.
All the best day. You
See you,
too,
Mitch.
Mitchy.
Thanks for that.
Catch you, boys.
See you later, guys.
To the first episode of Students Almost Abroad, pending visas. Welcome, Nick Champion de Crespigny. And firstly, congratulations on your new deal with Castre Rugby. I guess the first question is, why are you in a suit?
I just finished a long day of work, so didn't really get time to change, but appreciate you having me on the show, Connor.
Could you talk us through a little bit about how it came about, and how excited you are to get over there?
A few weeks ago, sort of one of their players who I know, who I played with in the NRC, Tom Staniforth, and he was at the Waratahs when I spent a bit of time there. So gave me a call and said their coach was quite interested in me, and it sort of just eventuated over that week, and all sort of happened quite quickly that they were interested in getting me over. I think Steve Tandy, who was the defence coach at the Waratahs previously, sort of put the word in. And that's sort of what led me down that path. But yeah, obviously really excited. Play top 14's dream come true and be pretty exciting being south of France. I'll obviously struggle with the language barrier. But
yeah, you struggle with English at the best of times, so it could pose a bit of a challenge. In terms of the contract, so I guess I know when I was speaking to you, it all happened pretty quickly. They've got a day or two to decide. Were there any clauses in the contract, indiscretions or, off-field behaviour, anything like that in the contract?
No, there wasn't. There was a few discussions about a few of those, but fortunately I was able to sort of show reformed Nick de Crespigny, and we really sort of moved in a positive way.
Definitely. And look, I think everyone can agree you're going to really suit the type of rugby that over in France, very physical, confrontational type of game, which you pride yourself on. And I guess you always have your sort of regular 6-week checkup at the judiciary in Australia. Have they introduced you to their legal team over there?
Yeah, I've sort of been under just trying to get over there first before we start moving into those sort of areas of discussions. But obviously they'll come. And I'm pretty excited to be negotiating with French lawyers in French.
Moving back to sort of your time at Sydney Uni, I know you came over in 2015 from Canberra. Could you talk us through some of your best memory, I guess your best memory at the club on the field?
The whole 2016 year, we were pretty privileged. Rob Taylor was our coach that year, and we had a pretty special group, so we were lucky enough to go through undefeated. And then I'd say in grade, it was probably 2018, like winning the Shoot Shield after everyone doubted us. We had a great group of guys, and yeah, it was a pretty special day to be a part of.
It's been a big part of your life since you moved down from Canberra. What do you reckon you're going to miss the most going over to France?
Around the club every Saturday, like you're saying hello to all the members, you're saying hello to all your mates you're watching, like 4th grade through to 1st grade, and you know everyone in every team very well. So I think you sort of miss those sort of things. And coming in on Monday and hearing about your weekend, or hearing about Charlie Hancock's new diet or something along those lines, it's always exciting being around the club. And
what sort of place are you staying in over there? How many bedrooms? What's your living arrangement like?
So I'm moving into just a 2-bedroom sort of townhouse in the middle of Castre, which is the city I'm moving to. It's quite small. It's a small town, like 70,000 people, but it's close by to Toulouse, and it's going to be fully furnished and quite modern. So it's not too bad.
Oh, incredible! So there's a bedroom for any SUFC player that's going to be travelling through France, I imagine.
Yeah, of course. I welcome visitors.
Anyway, I also had a few questions. Just a bit of a French pop quiz for you. Since you're going over there, look, as a good friend, I don't want you to go over there in the blind. What are the colours on the French flag?
Red, white and blue.
Who is the French president?
I have no idea, really.
That's 1 from 2. What is France's motto? I'll give you a hint. There's 3 sort of words to the French motto. It's quite common.
Do you want it in English or in French?
Either's fine.
Is it attack the day?
I know you've been studying up daily. I really hope you do get this one. What is the difference between bonjour and bonsoir?
Hello and goodbye.
In terms of the population of France, could you tell me what that is?
Is it 200 million? Is it?
No, it's 67 million. You're close. What is the capital of France?
I have no idea, really.
Well, Nick, look, we might wrap it up there. Look, thanks so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. From everyone at SUFC, we wish you the best of luck. We know you're going to absolutely destroy it over there, and hopefully you get to play some of your good friends, Harry Potter and Guy Porter, if Guy ever makes it back to England. What do you think about that?
Well, it's something of debate. I've actually got my money on him staying, but it'll be interesting to see how it progresses.
Thanks so much for your time, Nick. And best of luck over in France. And look, we're always here if you need a phone call or a video chat, which I know you're probably going to need to do every Sunday at 10 a.m. So I look forward to it.
Thanks for having me, Conrad.
Finally, thanks to the entire community for your continued support through this difficult time. Thanks for tuning in, and up the Wallabies.